most cases, they generally don't use cement across the top because it's so much hotter and it may fall, depending on the type of cement you use. But of course, there's roundabouts for that. In this case, for example, here's Dubai, United Arab Emirates. They have also done this, but their city has a goal of constructing 25% of its buildings using 3D print technology by 2030. That's in the next 7 years. And here's another 3D office building that they have just created. In the United States, Icon is also one of the leading American constructions, starting with the 3D project. This is, of course, one of their villages of future. And this is one of the designs there where you have similar blocks and, of course, just different by color. All the ceilings are the same. And this is another construction. So in these instances, these were from 600 to 800 square foot and were done in less than 24 hours. I want to show you a video quickly, if you don't mind. I'll be on the screen. Let's see. This is generally manned by constructors who are already trained, and see the machines as big as they are. So as you saw, these are some of the single developments that they had created. And these are similar to the ones that we're looking to design. 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, living room, kitchen, garage. And of course it goes up depending on the area. And these are some of the different types of interiors that exist out there. I mean, this is more of a higher end on the left side. And on the right side, you know, the ceilings are somewhat different in each one of them. In this case, it's the traditional cement boards. This is interior there. See? So here are some of the concepts that we're looking at to develop in terms of the different areas. So we're looking at multifamily, otherwise 2 levels, either side by side, up and down. Potential apartment complex depending on the location. These areas. And this one is actually 3D printed. This one comes from Canada. And this is what we call the community housing, whereby I'll show you when we get to the maps, whereby you have a row of housing and sort of pretty much there. And of course, in some of the housing areas, you have some solar panels on the top, depending on the type. And Another concept and idea that we're looking at is the mixed-use building concept, which is one of the traditional ones around some of the metropolitan cities are the apartment buildings on the top, and the bottom they would have like small retail, like Starbucks or a bank, a small citizen bank, Bank of America, those banks at the bottom, or other retail stores. Now, we talked about a roadway along the riverside, and so we were looking at, we sort of just put together a little rendering, but it's not exactly precise. It just gives you an idea of potential types of materials that could be used along the roadside. Here as well, there are 3 types in this area. This is for that 4,000 feet long, 6 feet wide road by the river. Addition, and some ideas of possibly putting together like a walkway, on the walkway, some kind of a statue, a solar statue, have lighting systems, something that allows it to be efficient, has sustainable qualities, and can be managed inexpensively. Now, these are the different developments that we're looking at, the areas that we are interested in purchasing, and we sort of have them breaking down into different areas. The premier lots, of course, those are the ones that we own, the 17 here, plus the additional 6 on a different map. And then, of course, we have broken it down to Riverdale Circle, areas in which we wanted to do a cul-de-sac development here. And these are some of the other areas. So we have the list, and we'll provide this documentation to you in all the other areas. So as we go to the different ones, areas like this, for example, where you have lots that are all together, these are where we wanted to build things like the community, whether it's we are doing something, for example, we wanted to do affordable for rent units. So you have a section of units that's just for rentals. You have affordable for sale houses for single families. Then you have traditional housing for mid to higher income families or locations. So this one would potentially be a community. We call this what's called the Millionaire's Row. We have to look at the areas, but so this again is one of what we talk about the community. So where you are able to take this and break it down into several rows of housing to be able to create that affordable housing area, whereby you can build up a lot of different individuals at one time. Okay, so we have this list of all the different ones. This is again for the low income, for rent or for sale, these areas here. So, and just a little bit about us. First of all, this is the development here that's in Texas that they're building, one of the similar development in Texas. And of course, this is the way the lot looks. So just a little bit about us. First of all, for me as an individual, I've been in real estate over 20 years. Any feedback? I've been in real estate for over 20 years. Let me show you something. This is one of my previous developments in Massachusetts. It's a three buildings, multiple units. These are townhouses. And if you look here, the asking price for each of the individual apartments are currently running at $780,000 per apartment. So I've been working in construction for a long time. I've been traveling the world, helping to build churches, schools, clinics. I do a lot of clinic building work with medical hospitals and associations. And so currently we're now in the US. We have properties as a corporation in several different states. We also work with several different real estate investment groups who will be working with us, and also developers. Major developers are going to be working with us on each of the projects that we have planned in this presentation. Let me see, go back. And so I'm the CEO. We have Meryl is one of our team manager. We have Mark is one of our directors. We have Lewis is on the meeting. He's a commercial acquisition strategic specialist. One thing about his particular job is the key is to help bring in businesses and opportunities, economic opportunities within the community, as well as within the project itself. His job is to travel internationally and meet with different companies or governments, and to help establish those kind of relationship alliances that helps us to bring and build our project a lot higher and stronger. Jennifer is our administrative assistant, and Josiah O'Brien, Josiah is in Michigan. He's also the one who will be working with the first 3D print project. On our team members, we have accountant Adeline Bridges. We have lawyers, but we are actually securing some of our lawyers in Michigan as opposed to elsewhere. Builders, we have a few of them on standby. Architects, we've reached out to is Fernando Spales from Citizen Robotics, expressed interest in work with us. We also have another agency that has also wants to work with one or several projects with us. The marketing real estate agents, we started with this one, Maria, but we have several others as well. Developers, these are two big name corporations that are out there that are going to be providing the resources to help develop certain parts of the projects. And of course, investors. 1 second. The investors are the multifamily real estate group funders. Now, in terms of our proposed construction timeline, this is a general sense, and of course we will slightly alter it, but for the most part, here we have 2023 second quarter, and we estimate between 2023 and 2025. And the reason why, besides the fact that the machines can build these things a lot faster, we know that construction period is generally between April 1st and November 1st. That's the prime time for developing, and those will be the external developments. So a lot of the outside work will be done then. And so during this time frame, as I said, was mentioned, we were talking about the development anywhere between 10 to 20 houses per month. And with a possibility of building up to 200 units. Or in the cases, because when we talk about multiple units, we usually go by door, so we'll call them 200 doors. And we start with the presentation, which starts in phase 1 here. The design teams and licensing and other approvals are going to happen within the second and third quarter. The financials, grants, investors, product sales, states and federal grants, all of those are happening throughout this period till the second year. And the foundation, during this time when we are going to do the request for the permit to do the demo, we are going to be getting ready to start our foundations in those areas during that time. We propose a time frame for about the walkway, the riverway, just starting with between the third quarter and the fourth quarter of this year. One of the other concepts that we have is because we have different groups, we will be working to keep a kind of cohesive, kind of consistent construction progress in place. We want to be able to have set up all the different procedures, and everything is already set up and done. So we have the prototype, the model there. And with each investor and group that we're working with, we will partner with them, or they will partner with us to help build each of the other different developments. So they will bring in their fundings, and we will bring in all the other resources and things that we have, materials and know-how, and together work side by side so that we can have a sort of a parallel construction project going on. And of course, it will depend on what area it is and what housing or residents are close by. Of course, we'll have to be mindful and put that into our schedule. So basically, this is our time frame. We have time frame. When I talk about to be determined, and that's what I have here, these are a lot of the key things that are not clear to us as yet until we actually I personally get on the ground. Josiah is already there and will be doing a lot of this work for us, but these are some of the things that we need to do and discuss and plan and replan as we go along through this whole process here. So these are what I would call the contingencies. 3D project housing costs approximately 130 and up. It's actually coming in at 231 per square foot. But of course, they are different depending on who you work with and which company, which software which machine that you work with. You can have different price ranges. Sometimes people are saying you can. Some companies are doing it at 13,000. We have Icon is now looking towards bringing it down from 230,000 to about 99,000 in this year alone. So we are working with those individual companies to make it so that these properties can be affordable, and that so that if we are building something, it's not going to cost $231,000 in an area, and we're not going to try to sell it to someone who can only afford a house for $50,000 or $90,000, whatever the situation is. We are going to be very consistent and shrewd in terms of how we approach in this manner. In our financing, we have the 70, actually it's 24 undeveloped lots that we own currently. And those are one of the things that we are starting with. But we also like to, as we spoke earlier with the architect, we like to be able to go and look at the properties along with the engineer and try to decide which one would be the best property or area to start with. That would allow us to make the most difference in a shorter period of time. Financial ability, we have several capital investment groups have expressed interest in working with us and are backing some of our projects. So, of course, they're waiting until we actually get the go-ahead before they're ready to come on board and start to help with the development of this project. And with that, that's the end of my presentation. I can answer any questions if anybody have any.
Thank you. Does anyone have a question? Trustee Klee, you said you had a question?
I have multiple questions, but I'm going to defer to the ladies.
Any question?
You start.
You want me to start?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Sorry, folks. This could go for a while. Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for your presentation. Appreciate that. I'm just going to throw these bullet points out there that I was jotting down as you were talking, and I've read and looked, and I have issues with questions come up. Temperature variance. Everything that I'm looking
Yes.
online here with Icon Build, and other than the late in the presentation you mentioned Massachusetts, but everything I'm seeing with Icon Build, they're all being built in very, very, very warm climates. One, two, the Massachusetts length of time, if this is a poly home, if you will, as well, or plastic,
Right.
how long has it been, how long have they been in existence in Massachusetts in that type of weather, which is kind of the close proximity of our temperature variance we have here? So I'll let you address that one first, if you would. My mind is going with a lot of different things. Go right ahead, dear.
Okay. So again, it depends on the software. And of course, the architects are the one who are going to be designing the properties based on the construction codes for your state. Now, Josiah, do you have an answer? Everyone say something?
Yeah, so the way that we would build is going to be different than like Texas, Florida. Right now they have homes that have already gone into like Virginia, and they've also built one in Russia in the middle of the winter. So it's similar to like a block construction, a lot of block buildings in Michigan. So that's the way that we work with the engineering. So it ends up being similar to that type of, how we get permits and things like that. But most of it is going to be based on what the engineering shows us and helps us along that process. So as far as insulation goes,
Yeah, can you, hold on one second, excuse me. Tracy, can you maximize so we have him instead of the end? Could you do that? Can she do that for us?
Yeah, Princessa, can you turn off your screen?
Screen share. And
Screen
let's-
share?
Yeah,
Sure,
let's
no
get back
problem.
to the faces. Thank you.
Let's see if I can stop it. Can I stop it? Let's see.
if you go to the top, it should pop up.
Stop share. There it goes.
There
right
we go.
there.
All
Perfect.
right, now we can see your
Awesome.
faces. All right.
Oh, awesome. Good. Okay. Let me put this something quickly, Josiah. When you're printing, as you saw earlier in the video, the construction is using two sides to each wall, right? And in between there, you can, depending on the machine, you can sort of create these little areas, construction areas. And what they will do is afterwards, as you're building up, they will fill it up with installation materials as you're going up. So it depends on each one of them. But the individuals who are creating the particular softwares, they're the ones that actually teach you, and they will help facilitate, making sure that we are complying with the building codes in the area. So they're very familiar with working with this. So it's not an issue for them.
All right, maybe rather than to go through my laundry list and then sit here and bore everybody this evening with the things that are racking in my mind, I would like to, I think before we can do anything at all here, and I won't ask any more of my questions, I honestly feel that our legal would have to speak to your legal, and that's, as just a trustee, I'm just speaking my mind as one of the statements, that I think we should have legal speak to legal on these issues and talk about all of this outside of in here, and then come back with a much better defined idea of what and where we could go, and if this could work in our community. You do own some pieces. You would like to purchase some other lots that we have there. So those are potentials, but again, I think it would have to go to our legal, and rather than to tie you up this evening and the balance of this group and the audience, maybe we can move this forward a little easier that way. That's my thought.
Do we want to consider that?
The issue with what you're talking about in terms of the type of materials and things like that, that's actually more of a construction question rather than a legal question. They're not, my legal and your legal are not going to be able to answer those questions. You're going to have to deal directly with the software developers, the ones who are creating the project, to look at what it is. So your engineering department will have to look at our engineers and compare,
yes, ma'am.
make sure that those materials will be worked there.
Understood.
Because even if
I agree. I don't mean to interrupt, but I agree with you there. But for us to just back and forth, I don't think we can come to an answer, and I don't think personally I can vote on something I won't vote on something this evening in this regard, I'll tell you that right now, until it has been reviewed by our legal, and that's my point at this point. I'm
Which is
not going to
fine,
ask
but
any
the
more
question you
questions.
asked him was referring to things.
Can I ask a question?
But
So I know that you're interested in purchasing the property that the township owns up in the area along the river.
yes.
Would you proceed, if we don't sell to you, are you going to proceed with this project? Or is your project contingent on acquiring our properties too?
We're still going to go ahead and develop those projects anyways. So that's one thing. But we also have properties in different areas that we also can work on. It depends on, I think the biggest issue is always convincing the different departments as to whether or not this is a feasible thing for their areas. So yes, we will, I think first we will talk it back with our team and then we will decide from there.
So you have an offer to us, and as Trustee Klee said, maybe we could move this to negotiate with the attorney and the township and the properties,
I have a lot of questions, so maybe we could
formulate that as we go in.
break it down a little more
Yes, ma'am.
and then take those questions to the company and figure it out. It's a lot. It's a lot.
to take
Okay,
in.
that's good.
And if you
do you
look
wanna
around
make
the
a
room, you
motion?
can see a lot of, I move that, I'm sorry, nope, go ahead.
No, we also talked about maybe our fire could go out to the site and
Yeah.
look at one of the
Tracy had emailed them.
homes to,
And when it gets to that point, I think that's a great idea because a lot of questions from the fire department as far as safety's concerned.
I was, he and I were communicating on that as well with this. Well, I would move that we, I don't know what to say. It's just a presentation.
Enter into negotiations with,
Well, I guess we would push this to our legal department. I'll just move that we move to our legal department to pursue and follow up on the fact that they're like to purchase properties, to initiate, and then to get a better understanding of how these will meet with our codes. That's where our building department, our fire department, our police department, everybody would have to be involved in those discussions.
Okay.
Or that any way you'd like it.
Karen? I mean, I think what you really need to do is name a person when we enter into negotiations, so you make a motion to authorize Karen as a supervisor to enter into negotiations.
I don't-
You can't have 50 people going in and asking.
No, I'm not asking Karen to enter into negotiations with this at all. I'm asking that this be sent to our legal to have them review whether or not this would be a feasible opportunity for us on selling the properties, 1, and 2, of whether or not we can even build these in our community safely, effectively, efficiently. I have just a ton of questions. I don't think we can do
Have
any.
you guys not seen the Citizen Robotic Project? There was a 3D build that was just done in Michigan, in Detroit.
no, we haven't seen that, no.
Haven't seen it?
I just think we need to move away from this right now.
Yeah, there was one that was on sale, it went on sale
It's not
in
it's just a
February.
presentation. Let's
If you
move
can get
forward.
us that information, Princessa, so I can get that to
Yeah, I
them so
will.
they can go look at it, that would be great.
Definitely, yeah.
it's one of your projects in Detroit?
No, it's one of the people that we're looking to work with on this project. They built one with, they were working with Habitat for Humanity. So the company Citizen Robotics and Habitat for Humanity. So they built that one, and it was just on sale on February 16th of this year.
Okay, and then when trustee Clee was asking the questions about the heating and cooling, did I understand
Yeah.
you to say there is no electricity to this place?
No. I was saying no electricity in terms of when you're building the construction, you have your machines, you need to plug into machines somewhere, and that was in the past. So that was one of the different difficulties in doing this project in the beginning. But because we now have solar-powered solutions or generators, those can now power the machines to actually run and do the printing for us. But if you look, I'll send you some more details. But in each one of the houses, all of the different areas are cut out. Like, for example, you have where the boxes for the electrical are set out. You have where the heating pipes are set out. You have where the windows are cut out. So all of that is already pre-designed into the software. So that when the computer's printed it, you have someone standing there to make sure that that stays there as they're passing through. So that was part of the video. When the person was standing there, it was showing these different areas there, these different systems for the house. So it's just exactly like a house. It's the same thing. And for most cases, you will build brick houses with actual heavy bricks, and you'll stand them there. It's the same process, but it's different in the sense that you're not actually putting these heavy bricks, but you're using a machine that's actually printing it for you. So you're saving a lot of steps and a lot of manpower and time. So it's there. It's everything's the same thing as a house. You're just much more efficient. It's much more sustainable. It's stronger. It can withstand higher levels of earthquake shocks, tornadoes, and hurricanes. So it's much stronger than a traditional house. So it's going to stay there. I think recently they just tested one of the housing building structures. It withstood a 5.7 in the Richter scale for the earthquake. And so it does have that capacity to stay still and stand in those kind of situations.
Alrighty, so we have a motion on the table to move this to our attorney to have him review the project. Is there a second to the motion? Any further discussion on this? There's no decisions going to be made till we get our questions answered, so I'll tell you that. Any further discussion? Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Thank you for the presentation,
Appreciate it.
and
Thank
we
you so
will be in
much.
touch. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Move on to number 7, public comment. If you'd like to address the board, I'd ask that you, Tom, can you move the podium?
Oh, yep, sorry.
Recording stop.
You'd come to the podium and state your name. You'll have 4 minutes to address the board as soon as the podium gets moved. Anybody? Podium.
I'm Ann Christensen, you guys know. My problem is not being solved. Not even close. I do believe this is a map of Flint Township, right? I live over here. There are no police over here. There just isn't. Okay? There's your Article 12, 612-2 says, no person shall cause or create, permit any unreasonable, improper, or unnecessarily loud noise or disturbance injurious to health, peace, or quiet of the residents. This is constant. This isn't regular noise. This isn't driving down the road with a loud car. This is intentional noise being done in front of my house and on Fenton Road. I'm 2 houses in. There's a big church, then a house, and then my house. And these people are doing whatever they're doing, but it's all happening right in front of my house. I can't get these guys to team up with me and get something done with it, okay? I call there, they ignore me. Now, I need an answer from someone, you know, because something bad's gonna happen. Okay, and I'm gonna be the one that ends up in jail or something happens. These guys aren't taking me serious. They think it's a fun game thing. It's affecting my health, my son's health. He's 11 years old. He's gonna end up in counseling because the police won't help us, okay? It's not even, would be a big deal. They need to talk to the 3 or 4 people that are doing it and have it solved. This has been 3 years. I would like somebody to have a discussion with him, maybe have him call me. They all have my number at the station. It's not like they don't know who I am. 911 thinks I'm a joke. That's embarrassing. I'm 54 years old. I'm not playing games with these guys' lives or my life. It's not fair. I've been here, this is my 4th time here? It's getting a little redundant at this point. I don't know what to do. I called Debbie a couple times. They put me off. I've had all the sergeants in the department, a couple lieutenants, John Chiza. Nobody's helping. John won't even accept my calls anymore. I mean, if that's a resource manager, I want to know. And I like the guy. I just wish you guys would maybe get with Chief Salter there and try to help me. My name is Ann Christensen, and I live at 1026 West Scottwood Avenue in Flint Township. And I'm even in the very corner of this map right here. Okay? There's nobody there. Not in uniform, anyway.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
Come on.
My name is Brian Hughes. I'd like to ask Mr. Clee if you could put on your list of questions on this 3D printer, if these buildings do get developed, if they'll be VA approved for loans for the veterans.
Question. Thank you.
No, very good question.
Actually, I guess if anybody has questions, they could either forward it in any of us, and we can make sure that or you can send them all to Tom Clee.
That would be me.
Actually, the township phone number is 810-732-1350, and we also have an email, info@flinttownship.org. Those questions will get answered. We'll collect them, and when we meet with the attorney and reach out to them, we'll get those questions answered.
tclee@flinttownship.org.
What's your cell phone number?
All of you out there have it.
So is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
Thank you, Mr. Hughes, by the way. I have a lot of stuff. Is that too loud?
It's ringing. Okay, go ahead. Ready?
My name is Gerald Roberts, 4487 Lindywood Drive. I think everybody in the room here that have property taxes got a little notification through the mail stating that their assessed valuation went up. I did. Prior to my meeting, I didn't realize that I had to have an appointment, but I did get an appointment. About a week prior to that, I went and I got a FICA, which is Freedom of Information Act, and asked one question: how are they arriving at the figure on my particular form with regard to the true value of my property? Over last year, it went up 11.6%. I asked just a simple question, mathematical question. How did you arrive at this figure? It figures out to 11.6% increase for a true value. Mr. Clee, before this meeting that I went to, stated a fact, and he was correct in what he said. He said, they can't raise your taxes under the headline any more than the inflationary rate, up to a maximum of 5% per year. Well, I looked at that, and then I seen, do you know what it means by compound interest? That means if you have $100,000 in the thing and you're getting paid 10%, it's $110,000. And the next year, if it's 10%, it's based on $110,000. And then the next year, it's based on $120,000. So over a period of 5 years, it can go up 25% on your valuation. It's compound interest, like they used to have in the banks. You remember that? I think everybody remembers that. But we are being charged compound interest for our taxable rate that we're being billed on. And over a 10-year period, that figures out if it's 25%, 50% increase. And then on the other side, where it's an open-ended thing, that particular rate of mine went up 11.6%. A friend of mine went up 18%. My house is, I took this in this FOIA and just prior to me going to the review board, I asked for that and they didn't give me any information. I said, I give it back to Karen. I says, this isn't my information I've requested. She says, well, this is all the girl said that she can do. She says, she just pops it in the computer, and the computer spits out a percentages, how much your increase is on your value of your house. But Karen did give me a sheet based around the sales of houses around. And there's none of the houses around me that were even anywhere near selling in the last 2 years, anywhere near the value that they had set on my house. So I was just asking, how do they compute that? And then I find out that it's in the computer, and it's not based, according to the man in the at the tribunal board there, based on sales of houses around you. It's a computer-generated thing from the state that says that your true value is going up. They have it plugged in through the state, through the county, into her computer, not based on sales of houses around you. And this is what the guy was trying to tell me. And I said, no, you're wrong. And he said, Mr. Roberts, your time's up. Your 8 minutes is up. I said, why do I have 8 minutes? I said, did the board state that I was going to have 8 minutes? I says, under the Freedom of Information Act, Amendment number 1, I have a freedom of speech. And I can come in here and I can try to tell you why my property, but yet you cut me off. I says, where did that come from our board? They said, no, it didn't come from our board. It come from our 3 appointed things years back. You mean to tell me 3 appointed people can sit and say that I can only have 8 minutes to talk? This happened to me before, and I said, hey, this isn't going to happen. I'm going to see my lawyer. I'm going to sue you guys because my freedom of speech is being violated. I got down the road probably about a half mile, and I got a call that says, Mr. Roberts, you can come back and you can speak before this board as long as you want. Karen, that has to change in that board. It cannot be limited to 8 minutes.
Your 4 minutes is up now. Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? No? We'll move on to, where are we? Reports. I have a couple things. I'll be quick. Can you hear me? The first thing I wanted to let you know is compost for residents of Flint Township will be picked up starting on 7 a.m. on Thursdays. It'll be April 6th through November 30th. When you're gonna get rid of your yard waste, they need to be placed in brown yard waste bags or in a plastic 30-gallon container clearly marked yard waste. We have the stickers here, or you can write it yourself, and it needs to be on both sides so that the trucks can see no matter which way they come. That's the first thing. The second thing I wanted to let you know is that there's going to be a statewide tornado drill. This comes from the Director of 911, Tim Jones. We will be practicing in the drills locally this Wednesday, March 22nd at 1 p.m. And we will put a link on our website. They have a whole page and a half of information regarding the tornado drill. We'll put the link on our website to go to the 911 website. And lastly, if you do go visit the Genesee County 911 website, they alert people. It's a reverse 911. It's called Smart 911. You can sign up for that. They need your information. I recommend that you all do that. I just signed the township up last week or the week before. It's called Smart 911, and you can find that on the Genesee County 911 website. That's what I have for my report this evening. Madam Clerk not here. Madam Treasurer, do you have a report this evening? No. Are there any trustee reports? No, we'll move on to staff report. Did you have a report?
Wow.
I heard no.
I just said, wow, that's all.
Chief Salter, do you have a
I
report
do
for us?
have one thing I'd like to say.
I was waiting
Thank
for him
you.
because I know he's going to say something like he does every time. So.
Sorry. Just the question thrown out there, and this is not to ask for a response, but the reason that they ask for a 30-gallon container is a 30-gallon container filled with wet grass barely is under the 50-pound weight limit. There are folks that put, I love the Rubbermaid 45s, and if you're doing leaves, they're wonderful, but we put some Rubbermaid 45s to the curb, and it rains in those, and those suckers are 90 to 100 pounds. But that's why they're asking for the 30s. You can use a bigger one, but don't fill it but half full if you're using a big Rubbermaid.
They will not remove any can that's over 50 pounds in weight.
Yeah, they won't lift it if they have to touch it, but they will touch one that's not filled full up. And
We have a lot of information about garbage pickup, or if you don't get it here, you can call Rose. She has all the answers.
now I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank
Chief
you.
Salter, do you have a report for us this evening?
Yes, sir.
Want to make sure.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir. I'll make mine really fast too. Our average is about the same, 92 a day, about 1,200 calls. Included 94 business checks, 57 residence checks, and 87 traffic stops. Also, Officer Chiza did a presentation at the Senior Center a few weeks ago, last week, about scams where they target seniors, so it's just a good reminder to watch out. And I'm going to segue into if you ever do buy something on social media or the internet, you can always come to the police department lobby or police department parking lot, which a lot of the scammers will stay away from repeating. So it's a good idea
For the exchange?
for the exchange, yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Thank you.
I didn't have anything for the agenda tonight.
Chief Beckley?
Wow.
Yes, my report's a little longer tonight, so I'll try to get through it as quick as I can, but it's been an eventful few weeks for us. So since the last board meeting on March 6th, your fire department's responded to 49 calls. This includes 2 structure fires in the last 2 weeks. On March the 7th, we responded to a structure fire in the 3400 block of Beecher. We arrived to find a small electrical fire. Why is that one? That one is having a bad day. Arrived to find a small electrical fire and insulation in the basement. That fire was kept small with very minimal damage. On March 19th, we responded to a structure fire in the 2100 block of Suncrest. Smoke was reported throughout the building, but luckily this was just burnt food and there was no actual fire inside of that building. There's been several pretty significant vehicle accidents over the past 2 weeks. Chief Salter, I think, would agree with that. So just remind everybody to drive safe out there, be careful. I know we've been involved with assisting with traffic in quite a few of these incidents over the last a few weeks. On March 11th, Assistant Chief Rowley, Captain Dan Merriam, and myself attended the Genesee County Fire Chiefs dinner. At this dinner, the Genesee County Firefighter of the Year award is presented to a firefighter in the county every year. This year, Flint Township Fire Department actually had 2 personnel nominated for that award. Out of all the county departments, one of our captains, Dan Merriam, was awarded as the Genesee County Firefighter of the Year for 2022. That is due to a fire at Long John Silver's that occurred February 28th of last year, where Captain Merriam acted with honor and risked his own life to assist a trapped firefighter. Another firefighter became entangled while trying to evacuate the building due to bad conditions inside of that structure. Captain Dan Merriam stopped and assisted this firefighter. It took almost 2 minutes for him to successfully remove the entanglements for that firefighter to get him out. Captain Merriam and that other firefighter safely exited the building, and within about 1 to 2 minutes, a large, approximately 8 foot by 8 foot heating and air conditioning unit that was on the roof fell through the roof in the approximate area that they were. So he was nominated and awarded the Genesee County Firefighter of the Year for his actions on that day. He was not able to attend tonight, but just wanted to publicly congratulate him, and inform the board, and the community of the things, that they do every day. Finally, I'd like to touch on something that happened Saturday morning, approximately 5 a.m. The Flint Township Fire Department was assisting the police department on westbound I-69 near Bristol Road, blocking traffic from a previous incident that happened down towards the Miller Road area. While on the scene, one of our fire engines, with its emergency lights on, was struck by a motorist at that location. This vehicle hit this fire engine near the front tire and front passenger door area. The driver of the vehicle and one of our firefighters was entrapped in other vehicles, and the jaws of life had to be used to remove the victim from the vehicle and one of our firefighters. The impact created significant damage to the fire engine and vehicle. 2 firefighters and the driver of the vehicle were transported to the hospital for treatments. I'm happy to report that both firefighters were released from the hospital the same day. They are home, recovering right now, resting with their family, and expected to be okay. This is just another reminder to be alert while driving. Please slow down for emergency vehicles. When you see lights, slow down, stop, pull over. Please be careful. Luckily, injuries were minor. Our fire engine, though, was not so lucky and has extensive damage that we will be evaluating and figuring out the next steps over the next week or two. And I have one action item on the agenda this evening.
Thank you. Mrs. Tucker, do you have a report this evening?
Bunny trails going on and Sunday. I want to thank everybody's helped out with it so far. If anybody else would like to help, we have a Easter egg hunt that will be on April 1st at 11:30 a.m. at Genesee Valley Center. I do want to thank Annette Marks, has already been out helping us with a lot of stuff. We did go in, we decorated the Genesee Valley Center, allowed us a window display, so you can go out and see that, looks good. And we'll be able to have the egg hunt in the store itself. So we're not depending on weather this year, which is amazing. We're gonna have at least 10 bikes that we're giving away, along with 24 baskets. And because of the generosity of our sponsors, it looks like we'll probably have at least 6 more bikes and maybe 4 or 5 more big baskets to give away to the kids. So it's gonna be great. And obviously we have this project we're working on with Solutioneers.
Alrighty. So we have one more quick report from the Road Advisory Committee in regards to the project that's on the agenda.
Well, I hope it's quick. Anyways, I'm John Whiteside with the Township Road Advisory Committee, and I want to report on our last meeting on Monday, March 13th. We had 5 of our 9 committee members there for our meeting, and we also had an emailed report from Mike Pfeiffer to talk about, because we're trying to finalize a permazine treatment on the gravel roads in the Bronx area. And as I reported at the meeting on February 20th, we had discussed the gravel road projects in the Bronx area, and if somebody doesn't know where that's at Fenton and Hemp Hill. And the roads are Tuxedo, Hall, Phillip, Mandeville, Boyne, DeCamp, and Ronald. As previously approved, through using CBDG money, was $70,000, and the estimate was given by the Road Commission for limestoning. But we have no direct say as a road advisor what to do with that money. We just advise. And the estimate we got from the Road Commission, I believe you all have in your emails, that we're using the permazine process and limestoning that area would come to $96,599.89. So that's greater than the $70,000 alone using CBDG money. So it's requiring additional dollars be added to the block grant dollars to fund this project. The permazine would be the first time we've used that in Flint Township. It's been used elsewhere in Genesee County. And Mike Pfeiffer, in his email report, he had stated that he believes the cost estimate quantities are reasonably accurate, and that the estimate cost is very reasonable and competitive with the cost we'd receive from a private contractor. So we were pursuing having the Genesee County Road Commission do this. Problem is, we were like I said, we were about $26,600 short. So in the meeting, we had to discuss how to fund that. Obviously, the money has to come from the road millage. So we looked at some options. The road millage budget's $20,402 for ditching. That could be used for that project. There's $21,422 in dust prevention. And there's 3 applications on that line item. But in the past, we've done 2. I know the board has asked for a possible brine treatment, but using those dollars would also leave us a little short. Another option we looked at on the approved plan for this year was doing some work at Diane Calkins Road, and that would be about $28,200. So we talked about this at the meeting, and we felt that if we have to, we should just take that off our project, still get a bid on it and see what the bid comes in and see how the other numbers work out. But that would free up $28,200 that we could use on the Permazyme. Well, after the discussion, the committee decided we needed to fund the additional dollars for the Permazyme treatments on those roads. This would be a test case for our township. It's never been used in our township that we're aware of. And it's a local area, a confined area, so we had a motion made to ask the township board to approve spending the additional dollars in the Bronx area using the Permazyme process on limestone in the amount of $96,599.89 with the already $70,000 from the block grants and the additional $26,600 out of the road millage. The motion passed unanimously. But really, we think it to be a great test, and I know there's been some discussion on the Flint Township Crime Watch about dirt roads, gravel roads. Even in that area, some people commented, one of the comments I read, they said they thought that that areas are being ignored. We're not ignoring any areas of the township as a road committee. The process takes time to work through. We've talked about gravel roads in the past, and this is something that we feel strong about having it done, so we can use that as a test case before spending any more money down the road on the Permazyme. Again, if anyone's looking for any information on that Permazyme process, I'll give you that website again. It's www.substrata.us. And go to the links, click on Permazyme, and they've got a pretty good presentation. That's all I have on my report. Thank you.
Thank you, John. So we move on to number 9, is the payment of bills, Madam Treasurer.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we pay invoices in the amount of $569,315.12, and also to acknowledge tax disbursements that went out in the amount of $1,879,713.41, for a grand total of $2,449,028.53.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Is there a second to the motion?
We would second that.
Any questions for Madam Treasurer? Hearing none, Mrs. Tucker, can you do a roll call vote on paying the bills in the amount of $569,315.12, please?
Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Klee?
Yes.
Trustee Vert?
Yes.
Thank you. We received information on Recycling Day. It's coming up in May. It's listed on our website. I don't have the flyer in front of me, so it'll come to the next meeting.
It is, you want it?
Sure, please.
Second and third Tuesday?
Second and third, May 9th and the 23rd, June 13th and 27, Tuesdays, July 11 and 25, and August 8 and 22.
And the flyer shows items accepted and not accepted and the locations. This is going to be posted on, if it's not already, I think it's on our website. So I know many people look for that household hazardous waste or recycling day, and it's on our website.
May I?
Yeah.
The one thing you remember, folks, is they require you to register or make an appointment, and you can do it right here at that site, so you're not getting, like, we
It's right
throw
here.
4 car batteries in and drive, oh, I'm going by there. They're not going to let you in, unfortunately. 'Cause the line is that long.
Alrighty, so we'll move on to action items. Action item A is the first reading of ordinance 6.10-12. It's an amendment. And there's no action needed on that, but that is an ordinance prohibiting child abuse. That's an amendment to the ordinance.
It's making it a local ordinance. Of course, the felonies are still going to downtown. This is just a misdemeanor, so a local prosecutor can sign the warrant.
Thank you, that'll come,
And less work for the prosecutor.
second reading will come to our next meeting. Action item B is the 2022 budget amendments that's presented by Controller Kevin McIntyre, and you have that before you. A motion would be in order to move forward.
Cleve would move to accept what Finance Director Kevin McIntyre presented to us as far as these budget amendments, which are actually impacting the 2022 costs that were paid and taken care of in the first part of January 2023. So it has to be thrown back.
Anderson supports.
Any further discussion or questions?
I had several conversations with him about it.
Oh, good. Hearing none, roll call, please. Mrs. Tucker?
Trustee Klee?
Yes.
Trustee Vert?
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes. Action item C, thank you, is the purchase of the fire hose. Chief Beckley.
Thank you. After consideration of our fire hose, we'd like to request approval to purchase new firefighting and supply hose from Fire Equipment Associates for a total of $96,323.50. We currently have hose in service that we purchased in a range from 1991 to 2017. Some of this hose is still good and able to be used, and others it's time to be retired. In the last 2 years, we've experienced significantly more failures in our hose testing procedures than we have traditionally, which is kind of leading us down that road, telling us it's time to start replacing this hose before we have failures on the fire grounds. We feel that replacement of most of our fire hose is crucial to the success of our departments. We would like to request the funding for this purchase through the ARPA funds received from the township, which will allow us to use our fire equipment millage for some of the other big ticket items that are going to be coming, in the coming months and years.
Thank you. Does someone want to make that motion?
We would move that we accept the motion to approve the purchase of the fire hose from the Fire Equipment Associates for a total of $96,323.50 utilizing ARPA funds.
Is there a second to the motion?
Anderson supports.
Any further discussion? Any questions for Chief Beckley?
There I go again. They were gracious enough on Saturday, we were in the tower, and these two fine gentlemen here in the front row gave me a good understanding of what's happening to those hoses and how ancient our stuff is. Watching what we did when they pulled hose, and I helped pull hose, and we transferred truck to truck, and we've got a lot of hose, but we have a lot of old hose. And that really opens your eyes. Anybody that wants to go down there, these guys will let you see it, show you why, and how important it is, and what a difference this will make.
Thank you. Mrs. Tucker, roll call, please.
Trustee Vert?
Yes.
Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Klee?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you. Action item D is the Permazyme project. And as John Whiteside was telling us, the block grant funds have been committed, $70,000 have been committed to this project for the limestoning. So the request would be to use $26,599.89 for labor, equipment, and material for the Permazyme to be added to the limestoning project. A motion would be necessary to move forward.
We would move to accept the representation by for the road project of Permazyme, the Road Advisory Committee unanimously recommending the Permazyme, that we already have approved $70,000, and that we would transfer as necessary from the municipal street funds the $26,599.89 or $26,600 for the balance of the project.
Is there a second to the motion? Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, Madam Deputy Clerk, roll call, please.
Treasurer Anderson?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Klee?
Yes.
Trustee Vert?
Did you vote?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading, sorry. Yes.
Thank you.
okay.
We move on to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Action item E is the emergency operation plan for Flint Township. As required by Genesee County Emergency Management, any community that's has over 15,000 residents is required to have their own emergency operation plan. And Chief Salter worked on updating this. It's the same one as before, just we updated the contact information. And I think we used the new template the last time, so there's not very many changes. But a motion would be in order to adopt this so that we can send it down to the emergency manager.
We will make the motion to adopt this proposal as presented by, I think, both chiefs and you guys both had, and through the supervisor, for the emergency management duties for Flint Township.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the emergency operations plan for 2023 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes. Action item F is sick leave. This is paid medical leave for part-time employees. It was created by, the policy was created by our attorneys, our labor attorneys, based on the law that was passed, I think it was in 2021. And the request is to approve the policy so that we can apply it, because we've had a couple of people who work part-time who have asked for medical leave off. So this defines what we do. A motion would be in order to approve it.
Clee would move that we accept this motion to adopt policy number 302, sick leave as presented.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Any questions or discussion?
Just a quick comment. We'll review this again during the policy review.
Sure.
Just to make sure that everything
Everything
is-
fits.
Yeah, everything fits.
Alrighty. All those in favor of approving the policy, 302, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That's done. Our Controller Finance Director, Kevin McIntyre, has made a request of the board to increase the amount of what we report as a fixed asset to the minimum amount of $10,000. That is used for specific accounting and also for insurance purposes. So request comes before us, a motion would be in order to approve it.
Might as well not break my record. Motion to adopt the increasing the value of an item considered as a fixed asset to the minimum amount of $10,000 as per requested by our controller.
Is there a second to the motion?
Anderson supports.
Any questions on this?
Is that enough? Increase?
Yes, we had that discussion. We were thinking 5 or maybe 7, then we thought 10, because when we talk about a fixed asset, we're talking about like vehicles. And I think what started the conversation was there was a tag of a fixed asset on a ruler. And there's a lot of accounting when it comes to that. So yeah, he thought that was a good amount.
Okay.
So if there's we've got a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the change signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That's changed. Our next meeting is April 3rd here, and if there's no further business and without objection, with no objection, we'll call that meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Man, you would think it's